Greetings, friends. Welcome to St. Andrews on this beautiful spring evening, a little blowy, a little warm, a little bit of rain. We're glad you're here. It's always exciting to have a performance of the Readers Theater, which is a fairly new ministry here, and it's really creating and drawing forth some beautiful gifts that people in this congregation have, and I think we've been surprised at some points at what some of the people were capable of. Little quiet Joyce Kirshner just blew us away with her romance a couple times ago. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to introduce Gail Brandt, I think, who is going to make the next announcement. So welcome.
Thank you so much for coming on this dark and stormy night, or it was anyway. Thanks to our readers, they've worked really hard and they're very able. Thanks to our directors, the talented and lovely Sue Masinski and Diane Stevenson, whose enthusiastic energy and expertise have carried us a long way. And credits to the uncredited Susie Hammer, who was not listed in the bulletin. And she's so I know how she gets, so I'm gonna just thank you, Susie. If at any time during the program you are moved to applaud, we have hopes. Would you hold your applause, please, till the end of the program? And if you are moved beyond that to want to make a donation, there are donation baskets in the gathering space for anything you would like to donate. It all goes to St. Andrews Arts on the Hill under direction of Sue Masinski. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our St. Andrews Readers Theater.
Spring speaks. Spring speaks because it is the season of hope.
It doesn't speak through the crocus, courageously emerging above ground, all showy against the white snow.
But spring speaks of the perennial with the insistence that it is here to stay until the leaves fall, hopefully longer.
Spring notes the bright green leaves unfurling above the gracious trillium hidden in the woods.
It declares the hope of the fish in the streams and the rivers and the creeks. The fishers hope too.
We hear spring in the trilling of the birds and the chirp of the crickets and the crunch of the mayflies under our tires as we drive beneath the streetlights. Spring may be life anew, but it's not a long life for some.
Spring speaks with the heady lilac fragrance, and over green lilac, overgrown lilac bushes where houses once stood. It speaks as we honor our mothers, those whose hopes propel us into life and through life.
Spring speaks with the thwack of the bat, the shouts of the fans, the frenetic mess that is t-ball, and the languid play of the boys of summer.
Spring announces open water and fireflies and grilling and lemonade.
It speaks because it is here, finally here, after winter, after fool's spring, after second winter, after the spring of deception, After the third winter, after the descent of the pollen, and after mud season.
Spring is the bridge from cold to hot, from winter to summer, from inside to outside.
Hope is the bridge from darkness to light, from entrapment to liberation, from evil to salvation.
Spring speaks because it is hope.
The poetry of spring. The next 4 short pieces are packed full of imagery, as all great poetic prose and poetry are. Indigenous writer Robin Wall Kimmerer, whom some of you may know from her beautiful first book, Braiding Sweetgrass, is the author of our first piece. You will be hearing Jerry read the opening paragraph of her second precious volume, The Serviceberry. Following Jerry, Gail and I will be sharing 3 delicious poems written by the amazing American poet Mary Oliver. By the end of the third piece, you will definitely understand why lessons to adolescents about sex are called The Birds and the Bees.
The Serviceberry. The cool breath of evening slips off the wooded hills, displacing the heat of the day, and with it come the birds, as eager for the cool as I am. They arrive in a flock of calls that sound like laughter, and I have to laugh back with the same delight. They are all around me, cedar waxwings and catbirds, and a flash of bluebird iridescence. I have never felt such a kinship to my namesake, Robin, as in this moment when we are both stuffing our mouths with berries and chortling with happiness. The bushes are laden with fat clusters of red, blue, and wine purple in every stage of ripeness. So many, you can pick them by the handful. I'm glad I have a pail, and it's getting pretty heavy. The birds carry their berries in the buckets of their bellies and wonder if they will be able to fly with so much cargo.
This Morning by Mary Oliver. This morning, the red bird's eggs have hatched, and already the chicks are chirping for food. They don't know where it's coming from. They just keep shouting, "More, more!" As to anything else, they haven't had a single thought. Their eyes haven't yet opened. They know nothing about the sky that is waiting, or the thousands, the millions of trees. They don't even know they have wings. And just like that, like a simple neighborhood event, a miracle is taking place.
When I Am Among the Trees by Mary Oliver. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, especially the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness, I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches and they call again. "It's simple," they say, "and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine."
Spring by Mary Oliver. All day the flicker has anticipated the lust of the season by shouting, He scouts up tree after tree, and at a certain place begins to cry out. My, in his black freckled vest, bay body with red trim and sudden chrome underwings, he is dapper. Of course somebody listening nearby hears him. She answers with a sound like hysterical laughter and rushes out into the field where he is poised on an old phone pole, his head swinging, his wings opening and shutting in a kind of butterfly stroke. She can't resist. They touch. They flutter. How lightly altogether they accept the great task of carrying life forward. In the crown of an oak, they choose a small tree cave, which they enter with sudden quietness and modesty. And for a while, the wind, that can be a knife or a hammer, subsides. They listen to the thrushes. The sky is blue, or the rain falls in its spills of pearl. Around their wreath of darkness, the leaves of the world unfurl.
When I was a little girl, my mother would tug on a snarl in my hair with a fine-toothed comb, and I would whine, "It hurts!" My mother said, "Grandma says that it hurts to be beautiful." Years later, when my daughter Jessica complained when I was combing her hair, I said, "Well, my grandma always said that it hurts to be beautiful." And Jessica bluntly stated, "No, it doesn't." I guess she knew, or at least she questioned my grandmother's reasoning. And to be fair, my grandmother did have a lot of sayings, almost one for every occasion. Lots of moms do, so much so that they are now called momisms. See if you have heard any of the things that moms say.
If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
You can't judge a book by its cover.
Fools' names and fools' faces always appear in public places.
Little pitchers have big ears. Honesty is the best policy.
Actions speak louder than words.
The early bird catches the worm.
If everyone jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Two wrongs do not make a right.
Practice makes perfect.
If you're too full to finish your dinner, you're too full for dessert. Wait till your father gets home.
I'm going to count to 3.
I've got eyes in the back of my head.
Did you wash your hands?
It's no use crying over spilled milk.
Always wear clean underwear in case you get in an accident.
You're the oldest. You should know better.
Hold your horses.
Because I said so.
No.
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 And don't ask again.
Go play outside. It's a beautiful day.
Money does not grow on trees.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
Ask your father.
You have enough dirt behind those ears to grow potatoes.
The apple doesn't fall far from the trees.
I'm your biggest fan.
I'm not gonna ask you again.
You make a better door than a window.
No means no.
Pick that up before somebody trips on it and breaks his neck.
I didn't ask who put it there. I said, pick it up. I'm not made of money. You've got this.
What did I say the first time?
You don't always get what you want.
Shut the door. You weren't born in a barn.
I don't care who started it, I said stop.
Are you okay?
You're grounded. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
You kids are driving me crazy.
I'm sorry.
Life isn't fair.
Time waits for no one.
Curiosity killed the cat.
I love you, just the way you are. How do you know you don't like it? You haven't even tried it.
You can do hard things.
Clean your room.
Don't sit too close to the television. It'll ruin your eyes.
Good for you.
If you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Believe in yourself.
Don't make me turn this car around.
I love being your mom.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
I'm always here for you.
Better safe than sorry.
All I want is for you kids to get along.
If you're bored, I can always find something for you to do.
I knew you could do it.
If I told you once, I told you 1,000 times.
I believe in you.
You'd forget your head if it wasn't attached.
I'm so proud of you. You can try again tomorrow.
It's going to be okay.
I love you no matter what.
Just
do your best.
Thanks for helping me.
You're so strong.
Slow and steady wins the race.
You did it.
I trust you.
You have what it takes.
Don't give up.
You handled that well.
I have faith in you.
You are important.
I love you.
Love you.
I 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 love you.
When God created mothers. When the good Lord was creating mothers, he was into his 6th day of overtime. When an angel appears and says,
You're doing a lot of fiddling around on this one.
Have you read the specs on this order?
She has to be completely washable, but not plastic. Can run on black coffee and leftovers. Have a lap that disappears when she stands up. Has a kiss that can cure anything from a broken leg to a disappointed love affair. And have 6 pairs of hands.
the angel shakes her head slowly.
6 pairs of hands? No way.
It's not the hands that are causing me problems. It's the 3 pairs of eyes that mothers have to have.
That's the standard model?
1 pair that sees through closed doors when she asks, "What are you kids doing in there?" when she already knows. Another here in the back of her head that sees what she shouldn't, but what she has to know. And, of course, the ones here in front that can look at a child when he goofs up and say, "I understand and I love you," without so much as uttering a word.
Lord, it's been a long day. Go to bed. Tomorrow,
I can't. I'm so close to creating something so close to myself. Already I have one who heals herself when she is sick, can feed a family of 6 on 1 pound of hamburger, and can get a 9-year-old to stand under a shower.
The angel circles the model of the mother very slowly, examining and touching here and there. Sighing, she says,
She's too soft.
but she's tough. You cannot imagine what this mother can do or endure.
Can she think?
Not only can she think, but she can reason and compromise.
Finally, the angel moves in close and runs her finger across the model's cheek.
There's a leak. I told you you were trying to push too much into this model.
It's not a leak, it's a tear.
What's it for?
It's for joy, sadness, disappointment, pain, loneliness, and pride.
You are a genius.
I didn't put it there.
Spring reminders abound. Tributes to Mother, the greening of grass and leaves, emerging flowers, even the birds and the bees. But for some, spring had always meant the smelt run. Say that, and you hear, I remember when, and stories pour forth. Even one of our performers has an account of the famous smelt runs in Beulah, available on YouTube with the link that's in your program. You can watch that. I personally never participated in a smelt run, and due to a lot of factors, smelt runs have kind of disappeared in some areas, so I may never have that experience. But when I hear it mentioned, I do have a memory. Years ago, I taught high school speech classes. One assignment was to do a demonstration speech. On presentation day, one girl arrived with 2 buckets, props for her speech. She carried them to the podium and began with a description of catching the smelt before announcing, I will demonstrate how to clean smelt. She reached into one of the buckets, bringing out a small wiggling fish, brought it to her mouth, bit down, and as she spit the head in the other pail, scooped the guts out with her finger. I quite frankly don't remember much else, although she did proceed to clean several more fish. As your memories drift back to smelt runs in your past, we invite you to listen to a memory recorded by Kathleen Stocking in her collection of essays, Letters from the Leelanau, reminders to her and to us of what it means to live in this special area of Michigan. Listening for the first smelt run.
What sixth sense lets fish know when it's time to spawn?
This is the thought that crosses my mind as I think I hear the first faint sounds that tell me the smelt might be running. Not that I can actually hear the fish, for I imagine they are fairly soundless in their swimming, but I can hear the seagulls circling over Hudex Creek, hear those cat cry, lady lovemaking, seagull mewling noises carried on the wind up Leelanau to my house.
It's always a warm day when the smelt run. The kind of early spring day when you hang your wash out for the first time. The kind of day when there's not only that seagull sound on the wind, but a scent, a slightly sweet smell of sap, of pungent old leaves, of woods relieved of a winter's worth of snow. A tantalizing scent that calls you outside to simply sniff it.
To get a feeling for that kind of day, first try to picture the Leelanau Peninsula, a narrow wedge of land jutting out into Lake Michigan, 280 miles north of Chicago. Picture that peninsula's middle, where I live. Then picture Hudex Creek Inlet, about 3 miles northwest on Lake Leelanau. Then imagine a high wind about tree level carrying that sound.
Last year, when I heard the sound of the seagulls carried on the wind up the lake, I didn't know what it was. I got on my bike and followed the sound around to the other side of the lake where all the seagulls were congregated over Hudex Creek Inlet.
The banks of Lake Leelanau are high and rocky here, more like places along Lake Michigan than an inland lake. And white gravel and sand lead steeply to a narrow shore. On this particular day, the wind was whipping across from the west, almost visible. Whitecaps the size of chickens were scudding across Lake Leelanau's icy blue-green waters. The seagulls were as thick as the whitecaps, only slightly smaller and in the air.
A boy was coming along the road, a boy with a baseball cap pulled down level with his eyes. Surely a boy like this would know why seagulls were circling over Hudex Creek Inlet.
Because the smelt are running? I asked. The wind blew the words back at me. As soon as the question was out of my mouth, I'd guessed the answer. The boy apparently thought the question was so dumb it wasn't worth raising his baseball cap visor to look at me.
Yeah, but probably not till tonight.
He raised his eyes just enough so that he could see me, but I couldn't see him.
I knew enough not to ask how the seagulls knew the smelt were running before they ran. I knew enough not to ask why smelt ran at night, or if the sound of the seagulls had brought him too to check out Hudex Creek. I rode home with the wind at my back. Vaguely, I recalled hearing
that smelt spawned in 3-year cycles, swimming the Great Lakes until they returned to the same gravelly creek beds where they'd been spawned. Something about the changing water temperature in the spring or the lengthening daylight brought them back after the ice went out on the big lakes. But from there on, it was anybody's guess. They ran at different creeks at different times, anywhere from late March to early May, depending on something only the smelt knew.
I remembered smelt dipping as a small child, further south on the peninsula, down near what is now a condominium complex called the Homestead, near Glen Arbor. But what was then just Art Huey's place. I recalled a night on the Crystal River when the smelt were running by the millions. I stood with skinny 10-year-old legs in the slippery swarm of fish and dipped with a macaroni strainer. My husband and I have returned to northern Michigan of our childhoods after nearly 30 years away for him, and half that for me.
Her husband, had come back from Chicago and Indianapolis. She had come back from Ann Arbor and Manhattan. They came back because they had missed the seasons, the sense of place, the people. The husband's ancestors, the Ottawa Indians, had been from Harbor Springs, further north on Lake Michigan, longer than it had been Harbor Springs.
That night, when my husband came home from work, I told him smelt were running at Hudex Creek. He, too, remembered the annual spring smelt dipping ritual, with people and fish thick in the cold Lake Michigan water.
The smelt run is one of the first signs of spring in the north. People are glad, after a long winter, to have a sign like this. Word of the fish is spread quickly, from grocery store to bar to hardware store to post office to gas station. Did the smelt wonder how we knew? I guess someone who lived close to a creek off Lake Michigan would see a few stragglers come up and then tell everyone. And so one night, soon after the smelt ran at Hudex Creek, they ran at Bellinger's Creek.
My husband went. leaving me and a sleeping baby at 2 a.m. to go stand in a cold creek. I didn't know he had gone until about 4 a.m. when I awoke to find his side of the bed cold and got up to put wood on the fire.
When he came home at gray light, he said,
Bellinger's Creek wasn't much. A lot of so-called sports fishermen drinking and making the usual remarks about the Indians at Shawbytown, a half-mile north. It was dark. I guess they couldn't see that I was Indian. I went on down to Weaver's Creek. I caught a bucketful. There was no one there but me. But as I looked at the lights over at Traverse City at the end of the bay, I wondered how many years it would be before the lights, I guess the people, would be out as far as Weaver's Creek.
As we cleaned fish, I wondered, what was I doing, taking the lives of little creatures who only hours before had been looking forward to spawning on the clean gravel? I remembered a story my sister had told me about reading a National Geographic to a little Inuit boy up in Canada.
Bang, he said, when they got to a picture of a baby seal. My sister had been shocked, first at him, then at herself. Of course, she realized it was natural for him to see the seal as food, clothing, and lamplight.
But was it natural for me to be participating in the death of these fish? Did I need them? Or was I indulging a romantic fantasy of what I only imagined to be one of the natural rhythms of people on the planet? I was being too intellectual, by far. I could see that. So back to my fish cleaning. Is this milt or roe? I asked my husband.
He looked a little peeved. He'd already told me that in his family, the women, meaning his mother and her 4 sisters, cleaned the fish, while the men, meaning him and his father, caught them. He'd gotten used to women's lib, but he hadn't bargained for cleaning fish.
I think the yellow is the eggs, and that grayish stuff is the milk. I'm just guessing.
The smelt were little and reminded me of goldfish. As I rolled one first in egg and then in cornmeal and fried it in hot bacon grease, my enthusiasm for smelt dipping waned. I began to wish each gutted fish was miraculously whole again and swimming in the creek. Yet I was not ready to let on about my disappointment. The kitchen is hot and greasy, I said with a wave of my arm at imaginary cooking orders. Let's eat at the picnic table outside.
Well, they wore their down coats, eating the rapidly cooling smelt in blinding spring sunlight. She was aware of eating the same fish that she had just cleaned, wondering if their families were still in the creek. Somehow the whole experience of smelt dipping wasn't the way she had remembered it. She remembered the excitement of the catch, the mounds of hot, delicious smelt that her mother had cooked. Was it always on a Sunday? They would eat until noon.
Certainly, the smelt had not changed.
Rather, it was I who had changed. I now saw the smelt as nuclear families in a way that never would have occurred to my child's mind. As I sat in the cold sunlight, it was with a sense of sadness that I realized I had been away too long, a sense of sadness perhaps my husband had felt all along. I had lived in cities too long, been away from fish too long. Perhaps the old instincts will return. The desire to dash down to a cold creek in the middle of the night because the smelt might be running will seep back into my personality in the slow, imperceptible way it seeped out. I don't know, but perhaps I can find my roots again.
Casey at the bat. The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2, with but 1 inning more to play. And then, when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a sickly silence fell upon the patrons of the game.
A straggling few got up to go in deep despair. The rest clung to that hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought if only Casey could but get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat.
But Flynn preceded Casey, as did also Jimmy Blake. And the former was a Lulu and the latter was a cake. So upon that stricken multitude grim melancholy sat, for there seemed but little chance of Casey's getting to the bats.
But Flynn let drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted and men saw what had occurred, there was Jimmy safe at second, and Flynn a hugging third.
Then from 5,000 throats and more, there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley. It rattled in the dell. It knocked upon the mountain and recoiled upon the flat, for Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat.
There was ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was pride in Casey's bearing and a smile on Casey's face. And when, responding to the cheers, he lightly doffed his hat, no stranger in the crowd could doubt that 'twas Casey at the bat.
10,000 eyes were on him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. Then while the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance gleamed in Casey's eye, a sneer curled Casey's lip.
And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman the ball unheeded sped.
That ain't my style,
Said Casey.
Strike one.
The umpire said.
From the benches, black with people, there went up a muffled roar, like the beating of the storm waves on a stern and distant shore.
Kill him! Kill the umpire!
Shouted someone on the stand, and it's likely they'd have killed him had not Casey raised his hand.
With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the spheroid flew, but Casey still ignored it. And the umpire said,
Strike two.
Fraud! Cried the mad thousands, and echo answered fraud. But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face go stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again.
The sneer is gone from Casey's lip. His teeth are clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow.
Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville.
Mighty Casey has struck out.
I guess the tradition is to put on a baseball cap for a baseball prayer. I happen to have this cap because somebody thought I deserved one, and I thank the people from this congregation who do stamp. And you need to get busy and do it again this year. So send in your money and volunteer your body. This was a most wonderful evening. And I want to say a special thank you to Sue Masinski and to Diane Stevenson for putting this together. I assume you were the people that chose the wonderful poetry tonight. And Sue, I think you belong right up there with Mary Oliver. Those were wonderful, wonderful poems. And thank you all for working on this and making it happen. And I'm happy to be a part of it tonight. And I'm happy to share our family prayer. We just call it the baseball prayer. And it's such a familiar and happy prayer in a way that my granddaughter at her wedding several years ago had it read as the main prayer of the service. It is a good prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, you who are called the mighty umpire in this game of life, we are not sure what uniforms we should wear. While we may be angels in spirit, in reality we are giants in pride, dodgers of responsibility, and tigers in ambition. And often we are cubs who love to play, but don't take life very seriously. And when it comes to faith, we find ourselves in the minor leagues. When it comes to good works, we're not even sure of the ground rules. And therefore we are thankful, O God, for your mercy when we find ourselves in foul territory, for your forgiveness when we commit one error after another, for your uplifting spirit when we find ourselves in a slump. Dear God, may our game plan be your will, and our response a sellout crowd with standing room only. And when our number is retired here on earth, may we rejoice to hear your call out, "Safe at home!" Amen.
Thank you for attending tonight, and have a pleasant evening.